Ah yes, the day is eventually here and the sun is shining, so I'm not waiting any longer. Come on. Well, at long last, I'm out on this, well, prized possession definitely, because I've had it for the last 6 weeks, sitting in my hallway. I never ever knew I was that strong, my willpower. To walk past the bike every day. The reason I had it in the hallway, of course, was I bought it at the tail end of November, and I wanted to keep it until, well, the beginning of January. So basically I've got a brand new bike. This is my first time riding this bike, and I wanted to tell you how it feels, how I feel on it, more importantly. So first off, honestly, the riding position is just, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting it to be much more leant forward. I've read and I've watched other YouTube videos about the riding position, because the back is jacked up by 20mm on this RS version as opposed to the R. A lot of people were saying it's to give it an aggressive riding position. Absolute bollocks. It's not aggressive at all. This is a lovely, lovely place to be. A very plush place to be. There is no weight on my wrists, and I really wasn't expecting that. I was a little bit worried about that as well, because that's one of the reasons I got rid of my Aprilia RS 660. I actually traded that bike in for this. The older I'm getting, I'm just I'm more conscious about the weight being on my wrists, and it is, what's the point in going out on a motorbike if you're not comfortable at my age? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I was at with that. So when I read about the back of this bike being jacked up and to provide the aggressive riding position, I thought, oh no. The other thing, now bearing in mind I've done 3 kilometers so far on this bike. So the other thing I noticed straight away, even though it's not a windy day and it's a very pleasant day, and I'm sort of keeping it at very sort of moderate speeds for a few reasons, ultimately because the roads, as you can see, are absolutely soaking. We had ice last night as well, so I don't want to hit any ice patches, and I'm on brand new tyres, which are the Supercorsa V3. So whilst they're fantastic sticky tyres in the dry, they're not really suited to the roads of Ireland. Actually, that's one thing I'll be changing out when this goes in for its 1,000 kilometre service, which is 600 miles. The service interval normally after your first service is 6,000 miles or 10,000 kilometres, or once a year, whichever comes first. So yeah, the airflow is super smooth. I was expecting, because it doesn't have a windscreen, because it's a naked bike, and because of these bulbous lights at the front, I just thought they would create some sort of turbulence within the ride. And maybe you can't see the dash now, but I'm touching 70 kilometers per hour. I nearly said miles an hour. 70 kilometers an hour. I'm in 5th gear. I really don't want to go too quick around these bends, because the roads are so greasy. It's done nothing but rain here for the last 8 weeks in Ireland. So I was really expecting a lot more turbulence, a lot more buffeting, but it's really clean and smooth airflow over me and around me. I can feel it. In many ways it's really nice. I always feel on a naked bike it gives you a sort of, well, it's a false sense of security. I think with the air pushing against you, I've just realised I need a bit of fuel, so I'll pop in here first. With the air pushing against you, I always think you feel as though you're going a lot slower than you actually are. So you've got to keep an eye on that speedo, which brings me lovely onto my next point. Hold on, I'll just fill up with fuel first. 15 litre tank, by the way. Which was a reduction on the previous model by 2 litres. Don't know why they did that, probably just for aesthetics, because the design of this tank is, well, again, stunning to look at, and actually fits my knees perfectly. There's a chap behind me, I can see my side mirror looking at me because I'm talking away to myself, so I'll fill up and fill you in with the rest after that. I can't even see how much fuel I put in because the sun's so bright on the screen there. But the reserve light comes on when you have 3 litres of fuel left. So it comes on at 12 litres fuel gone. What about that for a bit of maths? Right, okay. Okay, let's crack on with how I feel. Did I tell you how I feel? It's like going to a therapy session. Okay, I'm delighted with the riding position. It just fits me perfectly, which I don't really understand because I've watched other reviews, like from Bruce Teapot1 and Chopsy, who are big lads. And the bike seems to fit them perfectly as well, so I don't know what's going on there. A bit of magic, I suspect. Don't want to rev the engine too high as well. I'm trying to keep it under 6,000 revs because of the new engine and whatever else, just until I've put a few kilometers on the clock anyway. And there's zero vibration in the bars and zero vibration in the mirrors as well, actually, which is good, but I shall know better. You know, like I say, this is first review. It's not a thorough examination of the bike. The handlebars are slightly longer than the previous version, the 12mm longer. And with the bike being so light at 188 kilograms, wet, well, that's with 90% fuel in. That's what they call wet these days. I'd say it's very, very manoeuvrable in traffic, slow-moving traffic. It's so light, the steering, it's beautiful. It makes for a very, very nimble machine. All I can hear is that grunt and that growl of the triple engine, which of course is the beating heart of this motorbike. This is one of the main reasons I bought this bike, and the best thing I think Triumph did with the Moto 2 was to spend the millions they did, you know, providing the engines for Moto 2, because we as the consumer basically get the end product, which is years of technological advancement, years of multi-millions of pounds worth of investment just into the engine, and that's what is in this machine. So of course it's going to be good. Next thing, the comfort of the seat, which is always one of the first things I look for when I get onto any bike. The seat is beautiful. It's actually quite wide as well, so it's really good that I don't feel as though I'm trapped or basically hemmed in, if you know what I mean. I feel as I can move around, and so when the weather does improve and I get a bit more confidence on the bike and I've scrubbed the tyres in a bit more, when I can lean it down into corners, I'm sure having a seat like this will also reap rewards. But it's very comfortable, even when I'm going over the bumps. I mean, this is the thing, the bike is, I've left the bike on purpose just to do this video, untouched in terms of the settings. This is exactly how it comes from the factory. So real stock settings. It comes, I'm in road mode by the way, even though the ice warning is on. There are 5 settings on this beautiful display. So there's rain, road, sport, track and user, which is the configurable mode. Can't even see it, let alone configure the bike. I'm not going to do any of that until today is out the way, and then I'll thoroughly enjoy the next month ahead playing around with the suspension and all the other settings. Actually, it's a very programmable machine, if you like. You can customize it totally to your liking. The brakes, actually, that leads me onto the brakes. Brembo style lemurs on the front. 4-piston calipers clamping down onto twin 310mm discs. I mean, the stopping power is phenomenal. This bike has the best of the best. The brakes also have an MCS master cylinder, so you can really tailor the feel of the brakes. I have to say, it's the smoothest quick shifter and blipper that I've ever used on any motorbike. I have a GS, which is a little bit agricultural when you change gear. And I love that, actually. And again, the Aprilia, that let you know when you were in the next gear as well. There's a lovely solid clunk, and with any bike I've sort of come to expect that, so it's a little bit weird. It's I wouldn't say off-putting. I would say I'm just not used to it. That's exactly how I'll describe it. But I mean, I'll show you, I'll demonstrate. I'm in 6th now, right? So I'm not changing my revs at all. I'm down into 3rd now. I'm going to do that again, going up the box. I'll go into 2nd gear. But I'm in 2nd gear there. I'm going to change. I'm not changing the revs at all. I'm just going to change gear. 4th there now, 5th and 6th. Now, I don't know about you, if you could tell on the picture of the camera, but I couldn't feel anything. It's almost like having a DCT. Except you do have to move your foot a little bit. I'm not that lazy, but yeah, it's so really, really smooth. The suspension, yeah, that's fully adjustable as well. I can't wait. Now, in the manual, or the manual, for the bike, it's got a few different settings. Basically, stock settings for a comfortable ride, stock for road, a standard ride, which is what I'm in at the minute, and then a track stock setting as well. So it tells you exactly how many turns on the front and the rear, and on rebound and preload, which both the front and the rear suspension have. And then so you can set it to that and then basically fine tune it to your own liking and your weight and whatever else. Did I mention I'm 200 pounds? Now, 200 pounds is way too heavy for being technically a short ass. But we've just got through Christmas, so I am working on it, I promise. Okay, let's check the fueling. Now we're in slow moving traffic. So I'm in third gear at 20 kilometers an hour. There is no surging, no hunting, no coughing, no spluttering. Unlike myself, because I still can't shake this cold. I was expecting this to be a lot stiffer of a ride, and it's not. The way I'm feeling at the minute is if I just slackened off the rebound a little bit on the rear suspension, I think the way this feels at the moment, I'd be nearly there. Anyway, I'm looking forward to playing around with all of that, and that's what I mean about the bike being customizable, programmable, if you like. They are very slippy roads and brand new tyres, in case I hadn't mentioned it already. I've even got the warning on the TFT on the screen there about risk of surface ice, it says, and caution low air temperature. Then I've got a blue sort of icicle sign telling me, and the temperature is 4 degrees Celsius. Actually, one thing I've just realised reading all of that information out is that the screen is in a beautiful place, because I didn't even have to tip my head to look at the screen there. It's sort of sitting on the ledge of the chin bar on my helmet, if you know what I mean, so I can keep my eyes on the road. That's really nice. I'm not like with previous bikes in the naked genre. I've sort of had to look down like that, you know, and take your eyes off the road, which I don't like. But this is beautiful, because and I know exactly why it is. It's because the screen's sitting so far forward on the bulbous headlights at the front, or the wasp eyes, as my kids call it. So that's in a really great place. I've heard a lot of different reports about the screen, mainly because of the rev counter. Yes, they've tried to be a bit fancy with the butterfly wings representing the revs coming out either side. Now, the way I feel is that I only ever really use a rev counter when I'm on a track. And saying that, it sounds like I'm a regular track user. I'm not. I go to the track two or three times a year, and I'll be doing that this year on this bike. I can't wait for those days. But that's really the only time I use a rev counter. I'm sure most of you are the same. You sort of feel when you need to change gear. Now, saying that, this is a high revving bike, and obviously because the bike is brand new, I am not putting it anywhere near its limits. I'm not squeezing every last rev out of it. Look at the roads here, man. But actually, talking of high revs, this bike produces 128 horsepower, which is a 10 horsepower increase on the R model, and that's at 12,000 revs, or 12,000 revs, and 80 newton meters of torque at 10,500 revs. I mean, and for the weight of it, of course, it's all relative, so it's fine anybody reading you out those figures, but you have to relate it all to the weight, the size, everything else, put it all together like a triangle. But even coming up through the gears there, I'm in 5th and I'm in 6th now. The torque is unbelievable. The first gear actually is really long. Now, Triumph have shortened the other gears 2nd to 5th inclusive, and but there's no lack of torque all the way through those short gears. It actually makes for a great bit of fun there. And again, dry roads will be when I get to test that properly. But when you're pulling off in first gear, I mean, you seem to be propelled like you would be in a jet fighter. What I also like, which I was thinking as I was saying that about the screen, but then I forgot it, it's the age thing, you know, is that I feel as though I'm in the best ever virtual reality ride I've ever been in, because there is nothing blocking my view or vision. I'm completely in the moment, which is a brilliant place to be when you're on a motorbike, especially a bike like this. It really is the power of now and mindfulness, I suppose, all wrapped up in one little parcel. The other thing I love about... I've never owned a Triumph before. Did I tell you that? Maybe I didn't. I've never even ridden a street triple. This is the first street triple I've ever ridden, so I can't compare this to previous generations. Right, I'm going to test the brakes on this little stretch of road, because it does look a bit drier up here, where the road is climbing a little bit. Nobody behind me. Oh God almighty. Now I know that car was waiting for me up there, and I sort of caught sight of him as I was putting the brakes on. So that was the front brakes. Now bearing in mind, I didn't slam them on because of the condition of the roads. That was like stopping on a sixpence. They literally clamp down and stop you. In fact, I'd be a little bit worried if I did really slam them on the way it's all set up at the moment. Your rear end might lift, and I wouldn't like to be going over the bars. But they talk about stopping power. I'm just going to try the rear brake now. Check nobody's behind me. That's great as well, certainly for a rear brake, which is a single piston Brembo caliper again. And when you use a little bit of the front or the rear brake, it also applies a little bit of the opposing brake as well, just to keep the bike beautifully balanced. Oh, I'm loving this. It feels like I've been on the bike for months. I'm totally at ease, 100% confident. The riding position is just beautiful. I'll be as shallow as this, okay? When I saw it, I thought, I'm having one of them. That was it. When I saw the design in this colour, I thought, yeah, okay, that's my next bike. I don't care what it rides like. And of course, when I started watching the YouTube videos and reading the reviews, and then understood what type of bike it was, I just thought, okay, that is for me. Now, I'll tell you something else as well. If this colour came in the R version, I probably would have went for the R version, because I absolutely don't need everything else that this bike has compared to the R, and the extra power and everything. I'm never going to use it, but at the same time, it's lovely to have. And the other thing I liked better than the R version is this TFT. So that's why I plumbed for this, not because I'm a serious tracker or want every last inch of horsepower and everything else out of it. Just much more basic than that. Yeah, it almost invites you though, a bike like this. I mean, it really does want to come out and play, doesn't it? And I'm happy to go and play. I just love the bike. Do you know what I like in it too, actually? It's a bit like going to a fine dining restaurant, okay, for like a tasting menu, where it has the best of everything. But when it's all served up in one sitting, it just makes for an incredible experience. That's how I feel about this bike. It has the best of everything. And perhaps the thing I'm most thrilled with is the riding position. I might have made a bit of a boo-boo here, right? Because when I bought the bike, I paid €300 extra for the heated grips, because I live in Ireland, which is fair enough. But I opted not to get cruise control fitted, because I thought to myself, well, I'm never going to be doing any sort of distances or touring on the naked bike. This will be really the scratch and itch, the speed itch, or the playful itch on a Sunday morning and that sort of thing, you know. But the way I feel now, oh God, I love it. But saying that about the cruise control, I know I can get that fitted at a later stage. I think I'm going to have to do that, because I'd love to take this away for a weekend. Now, I'll have to look into getting some bags for it, obviously. I really don't like wearing the rucksacks, or indeed even the waist packs like I have on at the moment. I just don't like feeling them on my body, you know. Yeah, I'll have to look into. I'll see what's out there in terms of storage or little panniers or something like that. But that's part of the fun about owning a new bike, you know, customizing it to make it your own. If you haven't seen the customization video, by the way, I did. I think that went out before Christmas. It did went out before Christmas. Just of the things that I have added to this bike, then take a look at it. Because AliExpress is my new favourite shop. Imagine that. I never knew it existed. All of the stuff I ordered arrived. It's all great quality and it's all for a fraction of the price. So, do you know what? I think it's about time we pulled in somewhere and had a little look around the bike.
Okay, time to have a shower around. We'll start. Sorry, dad jokes. Okay, we'll leave them behind and just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this Triumph Street Triple 765 RS in Cosmic Yellow. I've pretty much talked about all the specs on the ride out, even though I said at the beginning that this was a first ride, first thoughts vid. Ah well. What I haven't said yet though is that the standard seat height, which I have here, is 836mm with a lower seat available which reduces the height by 28mm. And then if that's not enough for you, you can also ask the dealer to remove a link from the suspension, but I would be very reluctant to do that, as surely it must affect the geometry of the bike and therefore the riding characteristics. Again, I'm 5'8" with a 30-inch inseam, and even though I'm on the balls of my feet, that is good enough for me. The bike is so light that it seems totally manageable, even when moving around my garage. However, saying that, the turning circle is crap, so if you have a tight garage, then brush up on your 3-point turn skills. Other than that, this registration plate will be going, and I shall get the skinny one with the reg all in one line. I'll see how that looks before I make any rash decisions on the tail tidy. I've mentioned my imminent tyre change and the search for a small luggage system, and the only thing I regret is not getting the cruise control, but I'll see how I manage without it before throwing more cash around. Right, that's that.
Okay, back on the bike. Really nothing more to say in this video, folks, other than I'm delighted with my purchase. In Ireland, this bike cost me €15,100. And I paid an extra €300 for the heated grips. Can you imagine taking this down into Spain or something like that? Portugal over the summer. Oh, God almighty. Now, that's got me thinking. Right now, I don't even want to go home. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, please think about subscribing if you enjoyed this, and if you're here just for this bike, don't worry, there's going to be plenty more videos and trips and tours on this bike. I'll be back on YouTube next Saturday 8 AM. Have a great week, everybody. Ride safe. Dave Perry, Wheelie Good TV. A very, very happy camper. Over and out.